CNN continues to defend its report that President Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen claimed the president knew in advance about a 2016 Trump Tower meeting with a Russian lawyer. This despite Cohen's attorney Lanny Davis saying he was the source for that story and that he was wrong about some key details. The president slamming CNN and Watergate reporter Carl Bernstein in a tweet saying CNN is being torn apart from within based on their being caught in a major lie and refusing to admit the mistake. Sloppy Carl Bernstein, a man who lives in the past and thinks like a degenerate fool, making up story after story, is being laughed at all over the country. Fake news. Joining us now, Howard Kurtz, Fox News media analyst and anchor of Media Buzz. You know, Howard, the old expression was that you weren't supposed to pick a fight with somebody who buys ink by the barrel. In other words, leave the media alone. But this president, through Twitter, seems to relish that battle.
Yeah, that's never been President Trump's style, and it has worked for him with his supporters. And I understand CNN wanting to fire back at the president, as it has done in a tweet saying, well, we don't lie. But it doesn't solve the problem that this is a fundamentally flawed story. CNN has done very little to explain publicly where it is. And on this business about Lanny Davis, Michael Cohen's lawyer, who has told me and other journalists that he mishandled the situation and that he made a mistake, he never confirmed this story, the Michael Cohen story about Trump Tower, to CNN. In fact, he told the CNN reporters he could not be a confirming source. He wishes he had been more aggressive in waving them off what remains an unsubstantiated story.
Well, CNN is sticking by its guns, at least for now. They put out a tweet in response to the president saying, "Make no mistake, Mr. President, CNN does not lie. We report the news, and we report when people in power tell lies. CNN stands by our reporting and our reporters. There may be many fools in this story, but at Carl Bernstein is not one of them." It doesn't seem like they are backing down.
Not at all, and the tone of that tweet makes it sound like CNN wants to be in the wrestling arena with President Trump. But as far as that and other tweets in which the president says Jeff Zucker should go and that Andy Lack, the president of NBC, should go, President Trump has every right to push back hard against what he views as unfair media coverage, and especially on this flawed CNN story. But a president of the United States should not be calling for the firing of two heads of private companies simply because he disagrees and doesn't like their media coverage of him. That is a step too far. It is using the bully pulpit in a way that feels like a personal grudge, especially in the case of Jeff Zucker, who had been on leave after surgery for serious heart problems and who had been friendly with Trump when he ran NBC and Trump had The Apprentice there. If President Obama had said, hey, Fox News, you should get rid of Roger Ailes because I think your coverage of me is unfair, there would have been an explosion on the right.
Here is the tweet from the president when he writes, what's going on at CNN is happening at different degrees, 2 different degrees at other networks, with NBC News being the worst. The good news is that Andy Lack, adding a Y to his name, is about to be fired for incompetence, and much worse, when Lester Holt got caught fudging my tape on Russia, they were hurt badly. So there is, as you say, the president suggesting that a major network head ought to be fired. But at the same time, what's this business about fudging the Russia tape? Is there any evidence that the interview with Lester Holt that the president did was somehow doctored?
Absolutely not. You showed part of it earlier with John Roberts. This was an interview last year, 2 days after the president fired Jim Comey at the FBI, and he gave an explanation that set off a firestorm, saying it was, in his mind, related to the Russia investigation. There's no credible allegation that NBC or Andy Lack or Lester Holt edited that interview in a misleading way. And by the way, NBC posted the whole thing online, so people can look at it. The president also is referring to rumors, and that's all they are at this point, that Comcast might decide to drop Andy Lack, just as he's saying that AT&T should drop Jeff Zucker. I want to say again, I've been very critical of these news organizations at times for unfair reporting, but I don't think the president should be calling for anyone to be fired. And another point about Carl Bernstein, of course, you know, legendary reporter in terms of Watergate. He, as a commentator on CNN, and he's one of the people who wrote this Michael Cohen story, along with Jim Sciutto, a former political appointee in the Obama administration. He's been very harshly critical of the president. He's called him an authoritarian. He has said that this is the greatest challenge of the modern era for journalists to report on a malignant presidency. So when it comes to Donald Trump, Carl Bernstein has not exactly been unbiased.
Howard Kurtz, the host of Media Buzz. It's going to be an interesting show on Sunday.
To be sure. Thanks, John.
Thanks.